These images are telling. They display a sense of helplessness. They are the children of war. Today marks 1 year since the war between Israel and Hamas erupted, leaving Gaza in ruins. It was a day that changed the lives of thousands, a day of tragedy, pain, and devastation. For the people of Israel, it was a horrifying breach of security, a terror attack that ripped through communities. Families lost loved ones, homes were reduced to rubble, and the sense of safety shattered. For the Palestinian people, it marked the beginning of a relentless assault, with civilian casualties mounting, homes destroyed, and humanitarian aid desperately needed. The event changed the long-raging Israel-Palestine conflict in ways few expected. But amidst the rubble, it's the children who continue to bear the heaviest burden. Welcome to Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. It is October 7th, the anniversary of the Hamas attack on Israeli soil. But tonight, we take a heartbreaking look at the young lives shattered by this conflict and the desperate struggle for survival they face every day. On the morning of October 7th last year, Israel woke up to chaos. Hamas-led militants streamed across the border from Gaza into southern Israel, killing about 1,200 people and kidnapping some 250 others. The next day, Israel formally declared war on Hamas. And since then, the region has been riven by compounded conflict.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו במלחמה, לא במבצע, לא בסבבים, במלחמה. הבוקר חמאס פתח במתקפת פתע רצחני נגד מדינת ישראל ונגד אזרחיה. אנחנו בתוך זה משעות הבוקר המוקדמות. כינסתי את ראשי מערכת הביטחון, הנחיתי קודם כל לטהר את היישובים מהמחבלים שחדרו פנימה. הפעולה הזאת מתבצעת בשעות הללו. במקביל הוריתי לבצע גיוס מילואים נרחב ולהשיב מלחמה שערה בעוצמה ובהיקף שהאויב לא הכיר. האויב ישלם מחיר שהוא לא ידע כמותו. אני קורא בינתיים לכל אזרחי ישראל להישמע בקפדנות להנחיות הצבא, להנחיות פיקוד העורף. אנחנו במלחמה ואנחנו ננצח בה.
This war has reshaped the lives of millions, not only in Israel and Gaza, but throughout West Asia. The scale of devastation, the loss of life, and the ongoing humanitarian crisis have left an indelible mark on the region. This war continues to challenge international diplomacy, test alliances, and force a rethinking of security strategies. But in the shadow of the Israel-Hamas conflict, children in Gaza have found themselves caught between life, death, and survival. After enduring over a year of relentless war, they face an unthinkable reality. Learning to live through loss, destruction, and fear while somehow finding the strength to move forward. A new report by Oxfam claims that more women and children have been killed in Gaza over the past year than in any other conflict in the past 2 decades. To give you the exact numbers, more than 6,000 women and 11,000 children have been killed in Gaza over the past 12 months. Palestinian Health Ministry says the total death toll currently stands at 41,825. These staggering figures are both appalling and heartbreaking. Alongside the devastating loss of life, the destruction of Gaza's infrastructure has been catastrophic. Over 68% of cropland and vital roads have been either destroyed or severely damaged. Only 17 of 36 hospitals remain partially operational, all of which face critical shortages of fuel, medical supplies, and clean water. The loss of a child is every parent's worst nightmare, yet in Gaza, this nightmare has become a daily reality. Mothers and fathers who should be guiding their children into adulthood are instead forced to bury them, tiny graves scattered across the city. My words may be too blunt for you, but the truth isn't. This is a generation that is being robbed of its future. In an effort to restore a sense of normalcy, aid groups have set up makeshift schools and safe spaces. But the conditions are dire, and no space in Gaza is actually safe. The trauma of war is evident in every interaction, with many children struggling to understand the violence that surrounds them. The international community is grappling with how to respond to the growing humanitarian crisis. But for the children of Gaza, time is running out. As the war rages on, their future remains uncertain, their innocence lost in a conflict that shows no signs of stopping. For Israel, this is a war of survival against militant groups that have vowed to destroy it. But for the children of Gaza, it is a nightmare that has no end in sight. Unfortunately, these children of war are not just haunted by bombs and bullets. They are also terrified by the dire conditions in makeshift camps across the region. Displaced by relentless airstrikes and the destruction of their homes, thousands of families in Gaza have sought refuge in overcrowded camps. But these camps, meant to offer safety, are quickly becoming breeding grounds for disease. In these makeshift camps, families often share cramped spaces with little to no ventilation. As a result, respiratory infections are spreading rapidly.
روحت من خيمة على خيمة، والخيمة جوها مش لطيف يعني ولا بارد للطفل، وهذا يعني بيأثر على الجلد البيبي وعلى الحرارة كتير عالية. فيعني بدل ما الواحدة تروح على بيتها بنروح من خيمة لخيمة، يعني ولدت في خيمة وجيت على خيمة، وفي أمراض منتشرة، والمي بعدين مجرسمة أصلا، يعني مش نقية يعني تكون نظيفة على جسم البيبي.
For children already weakened by malnutrition and trauma, the situation is becoming increasingly dangerous. International aid organizations are doing what they can, but the challenges are immense. With limited access to camps due to the ongoing conflict, getting essential supplies like medicine, clean water, and sanitation kits into Gaza has become a struggle.
Those postnatal services have decreased significantly. So women who do have complications, who do have problems after they've delivered, have less access to the care they need. And similarly for their babies.
The emotional and physical toll is profound, as these young lives are forever changed. With thousands of children left without parental care, orphanages and shelters are overwhelmed. They're not just in need of food and shelter, they also require psychological support to cope with the trauma of war. In the face of such conditions, people around the world have condemned Israel's military actions. One question that has been fiercely debated and argued in the last 12 months is whether Israel's counteroffensive has reached a point where it could be defined as a deliberate genocide. Make no mistake, people have sympathy for what unfolded on the 7th of October last year. We acknowledge that the Hamas-led attack last year was nothing short of terrorism. In fact, it was terrorism. But with the IDF's ground invasion, Netanyahu's actions are now questioned and compared with genocide. The question is complex, but the accusations are serious, and the international community is increasingly divided. Meanwhile, South Africa has taken Israel to the International Court of Justice, claiming that destruction in Gaza is nothing short of genocide. South Africa further claims that Israel has breached the 1948 Genocide Convention in its war on Gaza. You see, for South Africa, defending Palestine is personal. This is a country that fought tooth and nail against its own system of apartheid. Many South Africans see parallels between their history and the struggles of the Palestinian people. The enduring image of the oppressed fighting for justice resonates with their national memory. Leaders in South Africa have openly compared Israel's occupation of Palestine and Palestinian territories to the brutal racial segregation that their own people endured for decades. But Netanyahu, for his part, has remained defiant. His government insists that any military response is aimed solely at dismantling Hamas. and the group's presence in densely populated civilian areas makes civilian casualties inevitable. His target has been so brutal that during the first week of the war, there were over 30 attacks on healthcare facilities in Gaza alone. Critics argue that Israel's response has gone far beyond targeting Hamas.
It's a case that underscores the very essence of our shared humanity as expressed in the preamble to the Genocide Convention. It's my task to address the court on the genocidal acts that have led to this urgent request for provisional measures under Article 41 of the Statute of the Court. South Africa contends that Israel has transgressed Article 2 of the Convention by committing actions that fall within the definition of genocide. The actions show a systematic pattern of conduct from which genocide can be inferred.
However, not everything is exactly what it seems. The sad reality is that neither the ICJ case developments nor the international community pressures will bring an immediate stop to the war. ICJ's genocide case against Netanyahu raises more questions than answers. The ruling is mostly seen as an advisory opinion and not legally binding. Moreover, Netanyahu has repeatedly argued that Israel is acting within its rights to eliminate Hamas and defend herself, which he describes as a terrorist organization dedicated to the destruction of Israel. Time and again, Netanyahu has reinforced his position, declaring that Israel would continue its military campaign until Hamas is eradicated. But the images coming out of Gaza tell a different story. For Palestinians, their very existence is under siege. The loss of life has been catastrophic, and the destruction of homes and infrastructure has left Gaza on the brink of collapse. The language and actions of leaders like Netanyahu have significant implications not just for the people of Gaza, but for the broader geopolitical landscape. The accusation of normalizing genocide raises ethical questions about warfare and the protection of civilians. International community is divided on whether Netanyahu's actions meet the legal definition of genocide. Some argue that while the death toll is staggering, there is no evidence to suggest Israel is intentionally trying to wipe out the Palestinian people. Others, however, point to the scale of destruction, the displacement of over 1 million people, and the targeting of civilian infrastructure as evidence of a systematic effort to dismantle Palestinian society in Gaza. 1 year into the Israel-Hamas war, the children of Gaza are learning to live with the unimaginable. Their stories are a testament to the strength of the human spirit, but also a powerful reminder of the cost of war, where nobody is actually speaking up for the children of Gaza. The future of Gaza remains deeply uncertain. The road to recovery is long, and for many, it seems almost impossible. As we reflect on the past year, we must remember that for Gaza's children, the war is far from over. They continue to live in fear, in devastation, and in unimaginable loss. These children are the future of Gaza, but their future is being stolen from them day by day. The people of Gaza face a long and difficult journey ahead. Rebuilding their homes, their lives, and their future will take years, if not decades. But as the fighting continues, the question remains: how many more innocent children will be forced to pay the price before peace finally is achieved? Thank you for watching Statecraft. Goodbye and take care.